pretty much all over the place. I'm only going to do a fifth one just to see if I can do 5 in a day. Um, I'm not exactly sure what the limit is, but I usually try to leave a little bit open in case I want to upload anything else. But so this one's kind of more just throwaway, so to speak. But I'll still try to put it up. But yeah, they're like, I mean, like you could do any type of circumvention, but I don't know, like if they just say like literally everything is illegal, well now now you fucking can't do anything without having an assault rifle stuck in your face, right? I mean that's the end goal. That was the goal the whole time, and it's just so sad to see Deus Ex be like. It's like it's not even like that becomes the nightmare for real. It's like no, the real nightmare is even worse than that. And I always thought it was kind of funny in the game because like they're always radioing you, to like taunt you or give you help or whoever the character is. Every like you go somewhere right or like whatever and they say something. I'm always like, if Bob Page knows where you're at to that level of granularity, how the fuck are you still alive? And it's kind of maybe that's part of the point. Were they aware of shit like that in the past? Now you wouldn't have that level of granularity under the ground, especially. Like I'm thinking about one of the most ominous and just spooky or whatever parts. Just one of the best parts of Deus Ex is on Area 51 at the start. If you take the ventilation shaft, Bob Page comes over the thing. And he's like, "Jump, you can make it." And I don't know, it's just something about it just kind of cool, like in a kind of creepy way or whatever. The game is phenomenal. The fact that Warren Spector just saw that as like a joke on conspiracy theorists is like wow. See what I mean? It's always for nothing in this motherfucking world. It's like when I found out that all punks and goths and all that are just fake, just more corporate terrorists. And it's just like this world won't let you have anything. Like nostalgia truly is escapism. It's like fuck, I have to even pretend Warren Spector's not a child molester now. Great. So because I mean, if he's not condemning the state, he's backing it up. So that means he fucks kids too. Fucking figures. But that was maybe they thought about that. Maybe they did. One thing I can say is I mean they definitely did a lot of research for that game. So it's just more surprising that they saw it as a joke, right? But so I don't even know if they would have been aware of shit like that themselves making that game. But I mean, there are ways. Yeah, I mean, they can pinpoint you right fucking now, right exactly where you're sitting, what you're doing, this and that. They can look through your fucking walls, and it's not even hiding in the crowd anymore because they just have a bunch of image synthesis, recognition, algorithm, machine learning shit do the work for them, right? So I used to say that like 10 plus years ago. I was like, well, you just hide in the crowd, right? Like Hitman Blood Money had just came out, and the crowd stuff in that game, that was a big part of that game, just hiding in plain sight. And that was sort of an idea. Like I would, people I talk to about video games, I would relay it like that. It's like, well, this all this information, they don't have enough motherfuckers to sift through it all. So you're still basically obscured, right? It's like you're not important enough. And it's like, well, that the problem. Why did I never even think of that? It's like, well, now it doesn't matter whether they consider you important or not. They just got the shit to do it for them automatically. But yeah, they can pinpoint you with laser precision right now. Was that possible on Deus Ex? Probably to a limited extent. Um, but I don't know if they thought of that when they made the game. But it was just always like that. It's like, how the fuck does Alex or Bob Page or whoever always know exactly where you're at? It's like, well, dude, if that's the case, you're done, right? You're not going to just like get away from that. You know what I mean? It's a video game, dude. If video games were even remotely realistic, they wouldn't be any fun because you couldn't win, right? But I mean, that's the point. That's why life sucks. Can't you just fucking just be left the fuck alone. But the thing is, underground is still a semi-viable option because lower frequencies are needed to go through the ground. To the point the way they have like ultra low frequency shit, like radio transmissions that literally go from one side of the earth to the other through the earth, not like bouncing it off the ionosphere like they do with the other ones. But the same thing that makes this all ultra high frequency shit so able to locate you, but also incapable of going through a lot of surfaces, is the very same thing that makes you more anonymous with the ultra low frequency stuff. Because if you're under the ground, yeah, they could sense stuff using long enough frequency radio waves, but due to the nature of their wavelength, it really can't be used to spot stuff that accurately. I mean, you're talking wavelengths that are like hundreds of feet long, right? So at best, they might have a probability distribution of, a fucking, hundreds of feet in either direction or whatever. Oh, I'm sure they have ways around that. They get, jitter pulses and this and that, right? Or like triangulate off others. And there's always ways to do shit like that. But the main thing with the modern stuff is how they can just collate it all. So for an example, that ultra low frequency stuff, they can still use that. They have Wi-Fi that can see you through your walls, but it's pretty noisy spectrum as far as how much stuff uses it. They can see you through your walls with that. Maybe they can't go through the walls with millimeter wave shit, or like look through stuff with millimeter wave. It's more about surface characteristics. However, they can combine Wi-Fi with infrared imaging and then even thermal imaging. A lot of people consider those, they're treated like the same thing in like media, like video games and shit, but they're distinct things. And they can combine all that with millimeter wave. And I mean, fundamentally, even on a millimeter wave, you know, if it's high energy enough, it can still go through, right? I mean, if you use Wi-Fi, you might notice that, like, even turning the faucet on, anything on 2.4 gigahertz, like if you're, like turning a faucet on, or you moving around a little, or turning on the microwave, especially because it's on the same frequency range, lots of different stuff can like knock off like Bluetooth headphones, right, or this or that, because they're all competing for the same frequency range. That's why Wi-Fi routers will have channels on them, because there's actually multiple bands within 2.4 gigahertz for this reason. But yeah, so even if one frequency spectrum has trade-offs, well, I mean, if they can just combine them all together, it really doesn't matter, does it? And, I'm sitting here wondering, when they're going to start. It's like, like what if I was doing my videos with just a handheld audio recorder, not using my smartphone? And what if I was just writing, like, sometimes I'll have notes on what I want to talk about, not this time, not that often, but sometimes. A lot of times I'll type it out and just take a picture of the screen with my phone. And you might think, all right, here's all these vectors they could acquire that. And it's like, okay, well, even if I was sitting here with a handheld recorder and, the notes written on a piece of paper, like a little handheld, like literal spiral notebook or something, they can combine all this data such that they could zoom in on my hand holding the notebook and even do basically like what you see in a lot of rendering and even imaging technology that's been possible forever. Basically kind of do like a deep traversal. So I remember reading years ago, there's something called, it's like lightfield cameras or whatever. And what they are is they're cameras that you can refocus images after the fact. And the way that they work is like they basically, they take the picture at different focal lengths. But if you use IR scanning, you can determine the depth of stuff. And basically, it's like imagine an X-ray. You get an X-ray, it's basically like one slice through. Imagine if they took multiple X-rays at different depths and they could just move between them. And so what I'm trying to get at is this idea is like, They have stuff that could see through objects because it's just how the electromagnetism works. And so they probably already developed stuff to where you could be holding a notebook and they could basically use some kind of viewer to move through the depth of the electromagnetic field that they captured, to actually look at a specific page even, right? I mean, they already got security cameras and traffic cameras that look through your fucking clothes, right? If they can look through buildings with Wi-Fi. It's just, there really is nowhere to hide. And again, they can have whatever narratives they want, but the whole point is the shit is a problem because of how it makes it at this point impossible for innocent victims to evade persecution. Like it wasn't already difficult enough to act morally and evade persecution. And it's like it's at a point now where it doesn't matter how smart you are, how knowledgeable you are, how skilled you are, how whatever. Like, I mean, if it's just if the entire planet is one gigantic security camera, there's literally nowhere to go, right? So you, like I mentioned Joe Pesci in one of the other videos, you're not going to, I'm just going to go parking garage to parking garage till I finally, you know, lose them or whatever. You just change cars enough, right? Well, no, that worked back in, the, 80s or whatever, when Casino is said, because they were flying over you with a helicopter and a regular ass fucking photographic film camera, and that you had to develop the images, right? Or somebody had to physically see you with their eyeballs, right? Like I always love that with more of this controlled opposition stuff of these libertarian terrorists. They're all statists. Who gives a fuck? But you always hear that it's like, who watches the Watchmen? And I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Fuck the Watchmen. I would give anything for a night Watchman state or whatever the fuck it's called. You know why? Because the motherfucker can't see me if he's looking the other direction, right? Human vision is fallible, memory is fallible, attention is fallible. But I mean, if they're just going to collect an entire planet's worth of information constantly and have machine learning algorithms sift through it all, then nothing works, right? So forget They Live, forget 1984. It's like, dude, in real life, you think, okay, 1984, it oppresses because, thought crime, and so motherfuckers are afraid to even have thoughts. Well, the U.S. had technology decades ago where, again, long lenses and parabolic mics, they actually could, like, if you sub-vocalize, like a lot of individuals do when they read stuff, right? Or a lot of times just thinking, people sub-vocalize. They could pick up those vibrations and basically ascertain what you said from that, right? So it's no difference in what you think they can't use this light field millimeter wave shit to just, even if they can't see your mouth, determine the vibrations of your vocal cords, or, they have some neural network, generative synthetic shit to just determine what the words are based off something else, right? It's like, now again, society will pretend the guy jumping car to car is the criminal, and oh, it's a casino guy, or but again, like They Live doesn't work when it's like you don't even have to be carrying something for them to find the little warehouse you all secretly met in or whatever, right? There is no secret. They just look through the fucking walls, right? And that's the main thing. That's why I keep saying 10 years ago, dude, even 2019. I was saying that in 2020, and not because of chomovid, my own personal reasons, and this is why. But now, especially 2019, 10 years ago or whatever. 2015, 16 would have been pretty good too. But that's why. Because in the past, all this mass surveillance, there were solutions. Now there aren't any. Like, there literally is nowhere to go, and it's like, holy fuck, leave me the fuck alone.